Hey everyone, welcome back. Had a new video to put together here. We had visited a place called Frontier Town in Maryland, Berlin, Maryland, I believe, just south of Ocean City, Maryland. It's a Sun's Outdoors owned facility. Pretty big, large campground. I think there's close to 700 spots in there for rent. On the coast, so a little bit of a coastal camping setup, which was great. They have a lot of amenities on site: water park, arcade, ice cream shop, stores, restaurants, zip lines, Wild West daily shows, as well, to kind of fit the theme of Frontier Town. And the activities, the water park and so forth, the Wild West shows and so forth, are included with the cost of the camping. Now, camping is expensive. I think technically we paid for an upgraded site because we were waterfront. Technically we were waterfront. There's some vegetation kind of between us and the water, but you could see over it from time to time, and especially when you're coming out of the camper on the stairs, or if you stood up on the picnic table. But yeah, the nice ocean breeze would come off the bay there. We arrived. Unfortunately, it was kind of storming, so we had to set up in the rain. And it happens sometimes. It can't all be great days, obviously, and so forth. But my son's room had the best view out the back, kind of over the water. I think I got some footage of it. He usually does, kind of how we're set up and how these campsites back in. My son's room's to the rear, and he usually does have the best view, which is fine. And I don't know if he cares either way, but something to look out. But on our strip, where we were parking in Frontierland, most of the lots were pretty small. Our trailer's 25 foot 10 inches, 26 foot. I had to actually unload the bikes off the back, so then I could back into the vegetation and go that route, but to get the bikes off. But we're able to ride our bikes everywhere, which is great. They had golf carts for rent. It is a pretty big place. A lot of people took advantage of that, I would say, but we enjoyed being able to ride our bikes. And then they had some wooded lots as well. We were fairly open in terms of sky. We wanted it that way so we can get good Starlink coverage. But they did have some wooded lots. They had, on site, they had boat and personal watercraft rentals, which is pretty cool. We didn't partake, but it was there. And then some campers had brought their own boats, it appeared. They some of the sites backed up onto the channel of the water, and then they had their boats out the back. There was one gentleman that had a toy hauler, and he had the back door dropped out towards the water, which is pretty cool, and he uses the patio. So pretty neat little setup. And then they also had, not far from our site, they had a fishing and crabbing pier, and some of the campers were taking advantage of that as well, catching some crabs and so forth. But all different things they had for rent. They had these covered wagon cabins, which are pretty cool. I didn't see inside of them, but we rode by and got a little bit of footage on there to look pretty neat. And then they had the camp stores in the center, like most are. A large camp store, of course, everything you can expect: merchandise, snacks, camping gear. They had beer, some other drinks and so forth that you could buy there. And next door they had this gemstone mining setup for the kids. Pretty cool. And then they also had larger cabins, larger than the covered wagon, it appeared. I didn't go in these either, but they had a whole group of them that you could rent, and they were full, so all the families were taking advantage of that. And then probably the biggest attraction, and you see it right when you pull in, is their water park. When you drive into Frontierland, they have a pretty decent sized water park with kids rated slides. They also had some larger slides for tubes, and then solo non-tube slide at the same top. My son loved the water park, as I expected, and was able to go down every slide and wanted to do them multiple times. So we all got to partake a little bit. But they also had restaurants or bars on site, and you could use them, like inside the water park. There was a restaurant that would serve the cabanas, and you could go out there and grab drinks. And then they had a couple bars, and they even had some bucket drinks and kind of your choice and specialties, and a little bit of everything they had for the adults. And then up front, near the water park, those facilities, they also had laundry. And this is probably the largest laundry facility I've seen at a campground so far in the last several months. Large. They had some industrial machines. but they did seem to be a little bit dated. Some were broken down. One of them I had fed in the quarters and it stopped counting, and I had to add a few more than I think I should have, and then it worked, and then the machine was cutting out, so I had to find a new machine. So a little bit old. I think they could probably use some replacement of some of the units, but they did have lots of laundry, and it wasn't very busy, at least the day I was there. And then towards the front of the park as well, they have an arcade, pretty good size arcade on grounds. You know, we can ride our bikes there, which we did. My son enjoyed it, and you can earn tickets just like any other arcade, and they had prizes and a couple of employees working the counter. A lot of different games, but my son had some fun playing there. And then right next to the arcade, they have an ice cream shop, and they kind of advertise it as build your own cookie, and you go in and you can get regular ice cream and scoops or milkshakes or however you want, but they have a specialty where you get like a warm fresh baked cookie, and then you decorate that with the ice cream and the toppings that you want. So of course my son's was all for that with the mint chocolate chip and creation that he made. And then another big part besides the water park is their Western Town on site. So they do Western shows with cowboys, cowgirls, I think daily, different types of things. I think they even hold a rodeo on one of the days, and different events. They also have some shops and saloons inside Western Town, some leather workshops and some different stuff, toy shops and stuff for the kids, and then a saloon restaurant / bar there. So we went to a Western trick show one of the nights that we were there, but it was the day after a large rain. Maybe it was the second day we were there, and they were saying that the arena wasn't able to be used. So we were kind of right in the main street of the Western Town, which I thought was pretty cool, but I believe it toned down the show. They brought out a couple horses at the end, but there weren't a lot of livestock involved that I think that the prior trick show involved, based on at least the banner that they had flying. But it was pretty cool. My son, had a good time. Some pretty cool stuff with the rope work at the end. One of the guys was pretty good, and I think entertained the crowd pretty well. And then, as I mentioned earlier, some of the campgrounds backed up to the channel and had their boats docked. I think I got some footage. I'll plug it in there, which is pretty cool. I'm not sure what the cost to dock a boat there or not. We don't have one with here, but pretty cool option. You go out in the bay. Weather was great other than the rain. And then, we had water kind of around us when we walked the dog out to the point. There's some crabs you could take a look at with the tides being low and so forth. But overall, fun campground. I'd probably recommend it. It is expensive. I think it's over $200 a night. But if you take advantage of the water park for the family, that's a group of 3 of us. I mean, I'm not sure what water park tickets are going for these days, but if you use the water park every day, it probably equals out to what you could expect, and take advantage of I think they had miniature golf as well, and the Western shows and so forth that you're not paying extra to get into. But yeah, nice little place. I think it's more than, we've got our tickets booked down in Disney at Fort Wilderness, and I think Frontierland is more expensive. Now we still have to buy our tickets to get in the park at Disney, so I'm sure we'll spend more down there, but just for the campground itself and the getting in the lodging. Yeah, utilize all that. I think it's not really a bad deal. Take advantage of it as a family. But thanks for staying in here and watching. I've got some more coming here soon nearby. The reason we went to Frontierland is Assateague Island's National Seashore and the wild horses, and I've got a video coming out soon, and we'll see you then. Thanks.